If you have SIBO, you can have Crohn's disease at the same time. And conversely, if you have Crohn's disease, you have a much higher chance of having SIBO. So if you're really struggling to overcome your gut issues, it may be that you've got two of these conditions at the same time. In this video, I'm going to talk about the connection between the two, and I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide as to what to do if you think you have SIBO and Crohn's, or if you know for sure. And I'll also talk to you a little bit about what to do when you have Crohn's flare-ups. As a gut health specialist, people come to me with SIBO, which stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and then it turns out that they have Crohn's as well. And studies have shown that around a third of people who have Crohn's also do have SIBO. Or it can work the other way around. If you get SIBO first, that can trigger your immune response. And Crohn's is what they call an immune-mediated disease, where your immune system attacks the bacteria in your gut. And there's research to show that if you have SIBO, you've got more than double the chance of getting Crohn's than other people. The reason that it quite often happens that people have SIBO and then Crohn's and they don't realize it, or vice versa, is that symptoms can be quite similar. But I found in my experience, the real differentiator is someone with Crohn's will have much more severe diarrhea, and generally it's really explosive diarrhea. It's very, very unpleasant. And this is also accompanied with a lot of gut pain too. So it's really important to get checked out by the doctor as well. And I'll put in the description some of the red flags that you need to be looking for. So if you do have two conditions, it's really important that you address each one in the right order. And I'm going to go through the steps very shortly. My name's Carmela and I'm a nutritional therapist, and I've been a gut health specialist for over the last 10 years. There's really a lot to cover. It's quite a complex subject. So probably in the next few days, I'll write a blog as well and put that on my website with all the details. So if you click on my website, the details below, and then subscribe or keep checking, you'll find that the blog appears there and you'll have all the information at hand. So I won't to go into a lot of detail, but the reason why people with Crohn's tend to get SIBO is because of the structural changes that occur with Crohn's, and also because with Crohn's you tend to have reduced motility, and that's talking about the sweeping action where bacteria is swept through the digestive system, and if that's not working very well, then you end up with these overgrowths. But if you want to know more about motility and prokinetics and that side of gut issues, then click on the link for my other video that I've made about that. So now to the essential steps. So while you've got SIBO, you have to really be mindful that you have to take a lot of steps to address the Crohn's first. Otherwise, it's quite tricky if you're using antimicrobials and you don't have a healthy gut lining. You can just end up with more inflammation. So that leads me to step number one, and that's reduced inflammation. And it's what a lot of practitioners refer to as putting out the fire. If you do have all this inflammation from Crohn's, then if you try to treat SIBO, it's kind of pointless, because the SIBO will just come back because the digestive system is just not working properly, and it'll affect all areas of the gut. So not to replace any medical interventions, because usually the doctor will use anti-inflammatories. That's the first protocol with Crohn's. You can also, in addition, use natural anti-inflammatories, and there's some really powerful, great ones around. So the ones that are good would be fish oil, which is fairly well known, and also turmeric, which is fantastic for inflammation or as an anti-inflammatory. But it's also really great at feeding the microbiome, so supporting a better balance of a healthy gut flora, which is really a factor with Crohn's and SIBO. And other really great natural anti-inflammatories, which you'll find on most of them on my website, are what's called pro-resolving mediators, specialized pro-resolving mediators, or SPM for short. And it's derived from fish oil, but it's super, super strong, really, really effective anti-inflammatory that I would recommend to anybody with an inflammatory disease like Crohn's. Number two is then you have to work on the mucosa, which is the lining. It's like a mucus lining on the gut lining, and it protects the gut wall. And this is quite often what is degraded when you have Crohn's, and that's where the inflammation comes from. So there's lots of ways that you can support that mucin layer. And one of the first supplements to use is just plain old-fashioned vitamin A, which is really great at boosting the bacteria that helps to regulate mucin production, which is called Akkermansia. So you can also buy the probiotic called Akkermansia, which is a very new supplement and very, very effective. They're doing a lot of research for the use of Akkermansia in Crohn's disease. Other really great natural products are berberine, and berberine is also useful for SIBO, especially if you have hydrogen-dominant SIBO. And then zinc carnosine is great. You can also use a product called butyrate, and another really great product, which is by an American company called Microbiome Labs, and it's called Mega IgG. Some of these aren't directly available in Australia, but you can access some of them through me on my website, which also requires just a short consultation. But visit my website below and I can help you with that. So number 3 is regulating the immune system, and that's super important if you've got Crohn's. It's also really important if you've got SIBO, because your body's natural immunity will help to fight overgrowths. So good ways to do this is to use spore-based probiotics. And these are one of the few probiotics that you can use in SIBO as well and won't make things worse. And so the best one to use is the Microbiome Labs Megaspore Biotic. But again, perhaps contact me if you're interested in that, because you can't get that directly in Australia. So now that you've stabilized the effects of Crohn's as much as you can, then you can start looking at SIBO and starting to use antimicrobials for that. But I would recommend that you do plenty of SIBO breath testing before you start working on it and after, just to check your progress, because then you can minimize the amount of antimicrobials you need to use, because you'll have a really good idea of whether you've beaten the overgrowth or not. So the good thing is that everything that I've recommended for Crohn's is actually really good for SIBO, and it really helps to recondition your digestive system and gives you a much better prognosis if you have something like Crohn's and SIBO. I use a specialized SIBO diet, which comes from Dr. Nirala Jacobi, and this diet is actually very useful for Crohn's too. It cuts out a lot of foods that are generally seen as inflammatory and not helpful for Crohn's. So if you want to have a look at my 7-day meal plan, you can get that for free on my website as well. And I said I talk a little bit about flare-ups, and Crohn's disease is characterized by flare-ups where symptoms get really terrible, and that's where you get a real spike in inflammation. During these flare-ups, you have to be very careful with diet, and I would definitely stop using any antimicrobials for SIBO if that's what you're doing. And then you need to use something like the elemental diet, and that's very, very useful because it gives your gut a rest while you're having that flare-up. That's a practitioner-only product, and I will make a video describing that at a later date as soon as I can. But that's a really great nutritious drink that you can have that's absorbed really quickly, and so you, as I say, you give your gut a rest so that you can recover from the flare-up. So if you're having medical treatment for Crohn's, which I imagine most people do because it's quite a difficult disease, then I would really recommend doing some of these natural interventions as well, because it's going to really help you to be able to manage your Crohn's much better and reduce your symptoms significantly. And then, of course, you really want to overcome your SIBO as well, which can really make your symptoms much more debilitating. Thank you very much for listening. And as I've said, you see it's a very complex subject, but if you need help, please just click on my website. I do free discovery calls, and I also do nutritional therapy consultations, and I've got the meal plans and some of those supplements that I discussed on my website too. See the link below. Thank you if you're still there. Bye-bye.